Hello ladies and gents, everything to outside of it. I'm Sophia and welcome back to a new video. So today we are doing my April reading wrap up. April was not a great month for me. I was in a reading slump for most of the month, actually cried from the start. I don't know, I could feel it coming because I read so much in March, because I read 20 books in March. So I just had a feeling. Obviously 5 books is still really good. Like last year I would have been so happy with reading 5 books, but obviously because I read so many books in March, I was really expecting higher. I read 4 physical books and 1 book on my Kindle. I'm just going to talk about the books in the order that I read them. So the first book that I read in April was Set on You. I actually thought I read this book in March, but I think because I finished on the 1st of April, so I was a bit confused. So actually literally in so many videos that I filmed, like so many TikToks, I was like, oh yeah, I read this in March and I really loved it. No you didn't, babe. I did really like it. This was such an easy book to read and it made it so much easier to read because it's floppy. This is the Waterstones version. Though I really like this, it's like one of those books that I kind of struggled to pick up because I was already starting to notice that I was slowly going into that reading slump. It's about this influencer and then this firefighter, and they kind of meet in the gym and they have this banter, but she is a fitness influencer and she talks a lot about body positivity. There's so many sweet messages in this book, and it also really shows like kind of the reality of posting online and how much hate you can actually get. I don't know, I like some parts made me tear up as well because writing was just so easy and the way the story was told was just so nice, and both of the characters were very likable. They had good banter. I'm so happy that in the same book haul I actually got the second book already, so in the same bookshop. I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars because I was actually really tempted to almost give it 5 stars, but I don't know why. I don't know what was lacking, but I think it was just that 5-star feeling, because that's kind of how I rate my 5 stars. It's a feeling that I get. It's not necessarily about the writing or the storyline or the characters, it's really that feeling. I would say this was like a 2 in spice, because it was definitely there and they were definitely having fun, and it does pop up every now and then, so if you're not into spice, I don't know. I will put on my rating stuff and what my ratings mean in the description as well. Then the next book that I read was actually Credence by Penelope Douglas. For the record, Penelope Douglas goes by they them if you didn't know that. But this was the first ever Penelope Douglas book I read, and I'd seen so many things about their books and I had been for a while kind of eyeing them in the bookstores, but I was too afraid to pick them up because either people hate the books, like not hate necessarily, but severely dislike them, or just like, what was this? And other people are like, ah, I love this. And that was me. Even though the concept of credence is so crazy, I don't even want to tell you what it's about, but I'll give you the quickest debrief I can get. So it's basically this girl, her parents die. She has to go live with her step uncle and step cousins, and you can do the rest of your math yourself, but in the end, it's such, oh my god, the end, I was crying at the end. Would you think that I would cry at a Penelope Douglas book? No, but tears were definitely coming up. I was ruined for the rest of the night. Like, I don't know, I just didn't see, I really enjoyed this book. I've already read another Penelope Douglas book by now, and I'm definitely so tempted to just buy all of them on Amazon right now. But yeah, there's definitely quite a few heavier topics in the story as well. I'm debating on giving this book a 4.75 or a 5 star. My mind is telling me to not rate it a 5 star, but my heart is telling me to give it a 5 star. So I think I'll give it a 5 star, but I don't know. I'm just so hesitant in giving 5 stars. Then I finally finished Scandalized. So Scandalized, I started in my last readathon. I don't know why I stopped reading it, because I actually really was enjoying this book. I think I just didn't continue this because I just wasn't in the mood for such a simple romance. Like, I've been going down the rabbit hole of a bit more crazy romance, like a bit more darkish, like not completely dark but kind of dark. Sometimes such a simple romance as these two, they're too simple. Where's the killing? Where's the mafia? But maybe it's healthy for me to read something like this every now and then. It did melt my heart. This is like a second chance childhood friends to lovers, because basically like she used to be friends with his sister, he's the older brother, and then they meet on this airport and she doesn't realize that he's famous, and then that causes like obviously drama because she doesn't know what to do. So it can be nice as a girl if everyone wants your man. I don't know, there's nothing too drastic in this book that really was like but it was fun, it was easy, it was a quick read, as I said. Like when I finally did pick it up again after my readathon, like after a couple of weeks, I did finish it in like 2 sittings because it's so short, quick, and easy. Also, if you didn't know, apparently Ivy Owens is, I think, Lauren in Christina Lauren. That was fun, and I liked the writing. The writing was so easy to read. So I'm gonna rate this 3.5, and the spice rating will be, because there's a lot, but the spice itself is not crazy. But 1.5 is like, it happens a lot, but it's very standard. I went to England last month, and I had some books that I wanted to finish before I went to England. I did finish a book while I was in England, which I kind of wanted to finish before, but it worked out well for me. And that was the Inheritance Games. So I talk a lot about my current reads on my book talk, so if you want to check that out, you can, because I did talk a bit about this book on my book talk already. So I started it a while before I actually went to England, because I was like, oh, then I have enough time to finish it, but obviously I didn't finish it on time. That was because I was still in the slump of not enjoying a single book that I picked up. And I got like, I think I read like the first 12 pages, then I read like another like 30, another 30, and then I got around page like 70, 100, like between 75 and 100, and I was in. I think on this random day I read like 120 pages of this, because all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, I think I'm out of my reading slump, and I was eating this up. I really liked all the main characters. It was such a fun story, because this is basically about a girl, and she kind of came from nothing. She didn't have a lot of money, not a lot of wealth. All of a sudden there's this man at her door being like, hey, you have to come with us, have you not been getting her letters, babe? Turns out she is getting a massive amount of inheritance. The family wants to know why. If you watch Knives Out, it's kind of that situation, but the family literally does not know the girl. They're like, who is this bitch? Like, where did she come from? There were a lot of puzzles they had to solve, and that was kind of the main premise of the book, that they had to figure out why she got all the money, but it was through like puzzles, because the grandfather was in love with puzzles. You know, it gets kind of dark at times, like shit gets crazy. Now 4 boys and 1 girl, and obviously there's a love interest in there as well. There was a little bit of flirtation going on, but it is a YA book, so the spice was absolutely 0. I am gonna give this between a 4 and a 4.5, I think. I still have to decide. It'll probably be a 4.25, because I did really enjoy this, but it took me a while to get into, and I'm definitely excited to continue the series, because I think there was something on the last page that really caught my eye. Oh yeah, oh my god. Okay, yeah, now I remember. Now I really want to go read the second one. It's only a trilogy, so you can get through it quite quickly. But yeah, this was such a fun read, and I definitely, if you like YA mysteries, this is definitely something for you, but you've probably read it since it's like a super popular book. And then the last book of the month, I have a love-hate relationship with. And if you have been following me on Book Talk, you know I've made it very clear, and that is Things We Never Got Over. So it's literally either you ate this book up, you love it, and you adore it, and you live by it, or you found it boring and slow and cringy. So for the first 370 pages, I felt like that. I felt it was slow. Like in the beginning I was like, bro, what the fuck's going on? Like, why is this picking up so quickly? Like, what the hell is happening? And then all of a sudden, nothing was happening. Like, and there was stuff happening, but I was just not interested. And the main thing that people have been bothered about is that these are 40-year-olds. This book is about 40-year-olds, and they literally act like me, like a 16-year-old girl that cannot make decisions for the life of her. Like a sunshine grumpy trope in a small town. Like, I feel like their concept was really cute if they weren't in their 40s, because what? I don't know, like he was too grumpy and too stubborn for a 40-year-old man. Like, that's hot when you're in your 20s, maybe your early 30s, but your mid 40s? No thanks. But then it took me like a month to read this, I'm not gonna lie. So I started this on the 4th of April, and I finished it on the 30th of April. So basically a month. You know how insane that is? So then literally on the 30th of April, I was like, I'm not gonna let this book hold me back again for another month, because every time I picked it up, I got so bored and I didn't feel like reading anything. It just kept putting me back in a slump, in a slump, in a slump. So I was like, okay, last day of the month, I'm gonna bang this book out. I have like 150 pages left. I can do this, and I did it. I finished it 3 minutes before midnight, so I feel pretty achieved. And why were the last like 100 pages so good? Like, they weren't good. Like, they weren't like, oh my god, what a crazy book. Like, I shed a little tear. I felt bad for the guy. Like, obviously I felt bad for him, but I kind of already forgot what happened to him. This book was just a bit insignificant to me. From some points, I can understand why people would love this. It just didn't do it for me. I still liked the end enough that I am gonna read the second book, because I already have the second book. I already have Things We Hide from the Light, and first I was really like debating on not reading that. The ending made me kind of want to read Things We Hide from the Light. So those were the 5 books that I read in April, and the books that I liked and I didn't like. Please let me know what you thought about these books, if you have read them. If you have any recommendations for me after you saw what I compiled here. Do you guys like all the extra information I put on screen and all the ratings, and that I now tell you the spice ratings as well? Please let me know, because it does take a lot of time to actually like put in everything. So if you're still watching, comment this emoji, and I will see you when I see you.